Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're back in War Thunder and it's time to actually have a look at a replay. I know I haven't done it in a while, but this one was incredibly special. nathanclawfish, who is one of the moderators over at the TEC Hub Discord, sent me this and basically said, you know, this was a balls-to-the-wall game, and to be quite honest, it was. And one of the interesting things about it is that I can talk through the different methods of playing the BMP while also doing it. So let's get started and take it rolling. So the first thing is, we're on Advance to the Rhine. It's quite a closed map, not great for scouting, so therefore you have two options. You either use yourself as a support vehicle for some of the heavies, or you try and go as aggressive as possible and try and get into the enemy's faces, cause a bit of a ruckus, and be able to do a bit of damage in the meantime. Now, the good thing about this method is that because we're using the BMP-1 here, it's got a good gun for this, it's got a good ATGM with the BMP-1P upgrade, it's also got some utility with smokes, as you can see, and what I'm also doing in this replay is I'm leaving the markers on, just so you can see the enemy, because there are definitely some close shaves here, which are quite impressive. Now, the first thing to note is that he's capping the point and not waiting for his team. Now, even if his team had spawned on this side, I would always tell people on Advance to the Rhine, don't wait for your team, just get the point capped. I know on a lot of maps it is courteous to do so, but on Advance to the Rhine, it's such a hellish road from this spawn here to, you know, that spawn over there, where B is, you know, across this line here, that just getting it capped and getting out of there is the way to go. So even though in this situation it isn't really, you know, it isn't really poignant because obviously it doesn't really have the support of anything coming, if you do have something coming, I'd just say get it capped and get out of here. Now from this position, there are two things you can do. You can either go this way, or you can either go that way. Now if you go this way, you play a much more defensive role, trying to hold that line, waiting for your tanks to come around, or you go through the park, or you go through A if it's being overrun. Now in this situation here, Nathan has decided to go to the right, so he's going to play a bit more aggressive, and I don't blame him. He's capped the point with the new light tank spawns. It basically means that he now has a free, a free respawn in whatever he wants, and therefore he can go a little bit more aggressive. He can throw away, you know, what he's doing. So first things first, he's just going straight through the park, and as you can see, I have all of the markers showing the people who he can see in vision, but obviously in realistic you can't actually see them. So we'll have a look at where he's looking right now, trying to push through the park. You can see that he has only Heat FS loaded, which I think is a good idea. The HE on this machine is pretty bad. He spots the Leopard. The Leopard is looking... Now, this is something I also want to bring up. So the Leopard, if you look at him, he's looking down this road here, and this area here. Now, this is why, if you are a light tank, or if you are a medium tank, it is much better to go through the park, instead of going through over here. So you have the cover of the grass from both sides. The majority of people don't look down this line. Instead, what they do is they look down this line because it's easier to get to, and normally you're trying to get people from the spawn who have just gone directly here. It also splits the two lines in two, once again creates a bit of a ruckus. So what Nathan does is exactly that. He is behind the Leopard now. Leopard hasn't realized he's there until about now, and he's popped him in the back of the turret, taking out the 3 crew. Now this is where it gets interesting. There is always a moment in a carry game where you look at it and you think, ooh, if that had gone just slightly differently, then, you know, this wouldn't have been an epic game. It would have just been a game which was, you know, average. And this to me was it. So we have a T-54 here. There's a whole reproduction. Whole reproduction is focused on the T-54, smashes the T-54 in the back instead of shooting Nathan. So Nathan just keeps going. T-54 has been able to pop his smoke, And then there is nothing down there. There is nothing in front of him as he looks, so he's going straight for the backhammer. So if that moment there had gone different and the Ho-Ri had shot Nathan instead of the T-54, this game would have been a very, very average game compared to what we're about to see. But there's always those moments. So one of the ways you can actually, if you want to play the aggressive thing, you basically do exactly what Nathan's doing here on Advance to the Rhine. You push C, get through the park, kill anything that's along this line, and then you have a decision. You either push B, or you go to A. Now, if you push B, you've got to push past B, because if you sit there and you decide to cap on it, then what's going to happen is you're going to be in a situation where the enemy team is either going to turn around and batter you, or they're going to spawn and batter you, as I said, because of the new spawn system. So you've got to get across it, you've got to keep going, and you've got to get to this right-hand lane, and you've got to hit the guys in the back. And as you can see, as he crests the corner, whoop-dee-doo, there's a hell of a lot of tigers and leopards. And he's able to hit that one. That is a hell of an unlucky shot, by the way, not blowing that thing up, only yellowing the ammo. There's also a Yag Tiger, pop that in the back, crew knockouts with the ATGM. This leopard's realized what's going on, going how the hell has he got there? ATGM away, doesn't kill him, but kills 2 crew, and that means that Nathan can go on the offensive. So he's basically done a big circle at this point. Unfortunately gets unlucky with the rock of the gun on that shot. This leopard, I feel like, has just given up on life at this point, so he's just given him the kill. And in 3 minutes 43, he has 4 kills. He's been able to secure this whole lane by himself by flanking all the way around. That T-54 finally dies to a Panther 2, and now he has another option. So, do you go towards C, or do you go towards B? If we look at where the team is, let's just stop it right here. If you go where the team is and look where the team is going to spawn camp here. It isn't going to spawn camp this right-hand point. You would have to wait a good 5 minutes for these guys to get across. These guys may go to C, but they also may push B. So you've got to make a value judgment here. Is it better to secure your home base, which would be C, or is it better to try and take B? The easiest one is C. And since you've already taken A and already mashed it, there is no real use in going after B. So he turns, he sees what's on C in the form of a tiger. You can tell by these shots, you can also tell by looking at the turret of it, and he takes the shot, knocks out the crew once again. Now that tiger was already damaged, but it's still a kill. 5 kills, 4 minutes 23. And he has single-handedly won this side of the map for his team. Now, there's still enemies over here. This poor tortoise has been barraged by a Yag Tiger, Tiger 105, Leopard, and also an RU-251. Now, the RU-251's realized what's going on, so he's trying to run away. Ooh, Nathan gets a little bit lucky there, but that is... luck is not the right word there. He was able to get that shot off, which was really good. He was able to stabilize his gun and fire it, and then, of course, he gets shot, but he's alright. Now, this is also something key. He was able to take out that RU-251 hull, breaking it effectively with the 70 whatever millimeter is, the gun on the front of the BMP, and now, what you may have realized is that he's on fire. Now, what a lot of people would do, in this situation, they would just stop and hit the FPE button out of panic. Now, sometimes what you have to do as a player is fire before you put the fire out. And what I mean by that is fire back, use an ATGM, use your main gun, whatever it is to try and distill the threat, so that can give you enough time to be able to use your FPE. And he shows this perfectly here. So he is able to make the leopard back off, even though he isn't able to hit him. That gives him the time to be able to use the fire extinguishers, and that means that all he has to do is repair now the track, and he'll be back on his way. And since he's used the ATGM, he's scared off those guys, and there's also the tortoise here, which will also scare them. He knows that there's a leopard there, he may know there's something else because he was shot before, but the main thing is that he was able to be calm in the situation, use his firepower first instead of, FPEing and maybe not scaring off that leopard. So let's go forward. This match is pretty much in the bag by the 5-minute point, and once again, mainly down to Nathan. He's taken out 6 top-tier tanks. Well, not top-tier, but 6 primary tanks, we'll call them. And he's also capped a point. He's also been able to neutralize the 10 line, which is one of the hardest things to do on Advance to the Rhine, and he's done it all in a BMP, something that can be hull broken from one shot. Now, he gets, once again, a little bit lucky here. I'm not sure if it's luck, actually. I think the RU-251 just shot at the T-29 instead of Nathan. If I was the RU, I would have just switched shots and fired, but I'm guessing he was really zoomed in. Now, there's a whirlwind who's decided that Nathan is great target practice, taking out the gunner in the top, so he has to run away and get once again in the park, which served him so well in the first place. But that RU once again got hull broken. So, you can hull break stuff in the BMP, whether you're using your ATGM, whether you're using your gun, and it is just a really effective tank. If you want to play it in this aggressive, offensive playstyle, it's one of the best little light tanks to do it because of the power of its weaponry. The way that I personally play it is a lot more defensive, but that's because I like to play the majority of my stuff very, very passively, and that's also with scouts. I try and let my team do the work. So he spots a Kugel. Kugels are incredibly deadly to stuff like BMPs, so he's able to take out the gunner in it, move up for a better shot. We also have a T-54 coming in, and bang, take him out. Unfortunately, this is the problem with the gun of the BMP. It doesn't always one-shot machine. Sometimes the heat FS is not as, perfect as you'd want it to be. So 1 capture zone, about to make it 2, and because he secured that line for the Tortoise, he is able to, the Tortoise is actually able to get to B. Can you imagine if Nathan had not gone behind the enemy there? There was 4 tanks, plus a Tiger coming on the flank, and all there was a Tortoise there. That's it. They would have easily pushed through him, whether they shot where the machine gunner is in the top left, or whether they shot the transmission and just went around him. He had no supports, and everybody else was at A. So because of this, Nathan was easily able to win the battle for his team. When we talk about carrying a game, it isn't always about kills, even though in this sense it is quite a lot about kills, but sometimes it's about positioning. When you get that absolute gem of a match where it's both of them, it's always fun to cover them. Now obviously he's crew replenishing, making sure that he has that 3-man crew. It can make a massive difference in the BMP, especially at this stage of the game, where you're getting a lot of AA running about, where you're getting a lot of stuff which isn't going to hull break you. So having that 3 crew, if your turret gets taken out, it means that you survive, and that is a large thing. He also, at the same time, is able to get his ATGMs back, and at this point, you're much more in the mood of supporting your allies and making sure that your positioning is correct. So what you'll find here is, if you look at the map, there is really no reason, let's just check if it's showing the marker, yes it is, there is really no reason for Nathan to go here. There is really no reason for Nathan to go here. What there is a reason for Nathan to do is to go over here. We've just had a tank die. We also know that nobody else is here unless these guys come down, but it's going to take them a while. We're going to get there first. So there's 2 areas of contention that you can come over. There's this area where you have no allies, and this area. And that's exactly what Nathan's doing. He's covering all the angles, and this is the sign of somebody who's looking at the map, seeing what's going on, and is also confident in his own abilities to go after the enemy. So he knows there's some kind of machine here. He's looking to the right, sees it on the left, gets a little bit lucky there since the Kugel isn't looking his way, and there is the double punch from the BMP, which is always fun to see. So now we're looking at the 3rd cap, 9 kills. Absolute insanity at the 9-minute mark. A kill a minute and a capture every 3 minutes. That guy decides to J out, no idea why, but overall, it's an insane game from this little BMP. I think scouts personally are much better on the larger maps, as I said, because of my playstyle. But when you see somebody playing the BMP like this, or playing the T92, or even the Bulldog, if the Bulldog is able to run around and get in the ranks of the enemy, it is something you have to behold. It is just once again, something that's really interesting. And even at the end of this match here, we're 10 minutes in, you can see that the allied team is pretty much spawn camping. He's still going to the area where the enemy can go. He's going to the out bit where the enemy might be that haven't been seen yet. And this shows that he's looking at the map all the time. Something that an experienced player would do. Something that I would encourage all of you to do. If you have confidence in your ability, like if you're a person who really who's really good at aiming, who knows exactly where to shoot tanks and everything like that, the one thing you have to work on is your map rotation. And from a replay like this, you can see how to do it. You can see the cracks that open up, which you have to fill with your own personal vehicle. It's something that even some of the best players that I've played with in War Thunder struggle with, because they just barrel down and try and get to the enemy spawn. Instead of looking for the areas which need to be covered, they just go for the areas that are, basically robotic in their mind. So he's going over here to check if there's anything left, and as you can see, he did take a few shots, but he was able to survive, and then he has an aircraft trying to take him out again, and once again sets him on fire. Luckily though, he has an FPE. So this, he does put it out and starts repairing. This is nathanclawfish. 9 ground kills, 3 base captures, 3,000 points on Advance to the Rhine. An absolute carry on a city map with one of the light tanks. Don't tell me it can't be done, because now you've seen that it can be. I'll see you next time.